Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Rody John, and today we talk to Sal Rinauro. We talk all about his long career, Claudio Castagnoli, and his evolution in the sport. This is a two-parter, so this is part one. Part two is out right now as well. So as soon as you're done with part one, load up part two and go on the ride with Sal Rinauro, because that man has got some stories. And do not forget that NWA Paranoia is this Saturday, January 13th, live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Speaking of which, make sure to go sign up for our newsletter. It comes out twice a week. You get even more information about our guests. You get fun facts, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast, all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Sal Rinauro. I would like to welcome to the show Sal Rinauro. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. So for anybody listening, wherever they are, can you just describe what's going on around you, where you are right now, so that way they kind of have a mental picture for them?
Oh yeah, I'm actually in a little city outside of Macon, Georgia. I'm on my 7 acres, sitting up in an isolated little spot that I've built solely for phone conversations, because if not, service gets real spotty. But bunch of trees, bunch of if you ever get the chance to watch any of my my videos, my moments of Sal, any of those that take place in the woods are usually what I'm looking at now. Just, I mean, tons and tons of green trees and, you know, wildlife and all that stuff that you would assume that just runs freely here in Georgia.
So, how far out from the city are you?
About 30 minutes.
Okay. How long have you been on this property now?
I moved, 2010 is when I moved here, so.
Wow.
13 years.
And the city hasn't caught up with you yet?
No, God bless. No, it's I'll do battle in the ring all the time. That's fine. I don't want to. When I go home, I want to stay as far away from everybody as humanly possible. So far, so good. So let's keep that momentum going.
There we go. So, what made you move out to? I mean, you know, like you just said, you want to be as far away from people as possible. Is that why you bought the property back in 2010?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been a wild ride. I grew up in California. You know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Inland Empire, where, you know, there was a neighbor on top of a neighbor on top of a neighbor, which as a kid was awesome, because like there was always kids around to play with, right? So like there was always trouble to get into. But the older I got, the more I kind of just as much as I love interacting with fans at shows and, you know, working in front of a crowd and all that stuff, when it's time to decompress, I've really, and I think it's just part of getting older, that I've really found that I love to just sit in my chair and let nature happen and not be distracted. You know, my kids are kids and they have, you know, all their video games and they've all got their phones and they're constantly doing something. And I'm like, guys, it's okay to just not do anything and just, and so, this was actually, I was fortunate. This was actually my grandmother and my grandfather's plot of land that I was able to inherit.
Awesome.
And I love it every day. You know, it's awesome just to sit and be one with nature.
I love that you say that, because I constantly try to preach to people, especially kids, because, you know, my friends have kids, that, you know, you don't need to be in front of that screen all the time. It's nice sometimes, but go out into nature, go for a walk, go.
Absolutely.
When was the last time you saw a sunset or a sunrise, or like just listen to the rain come down and watch it? It's like, it's better than any, it's better than any TV show or reel or YouTube show you could be watching right now.
100%. It drives me nuts, and I don't mean to throw my kids under the bus. I love them to death, but like my a couple of days ago, like I said, we're about 30 minutes from town, but there's a grocery store about 10 minutes from the house. And we got in the car, and she goes, "Daddy, can I see your phone?" I go, "For what?" She goes, "Well, I'm going to be bored. We're going down the road." You're going to have to tough this one out, little girl. If you want to call DFAX, I'll let you see the phone when it's time, but you're still not getting the phone.
Like, I love that you are still like, because there are so many parents that have just given up and said, okay, well, screens is where we're at, whatever. I love that you still are kind of forcing it like, no, embrace the boredom, be bored, look out the window. It's not the worst thing you can see outside.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay to be bored sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's have something constantly happening, and that's one of the main reasons. Like, I just love this land. Like California. Every time I go back to visit, I'm just like, oh, I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
There's too much happening always. Like, I've got to be able to breathe. So it's so diametrically different from what I grew up with. But it's where I find my zen, and also where I get a lot of my stupid ideas. So maybe, long story short, this might not be the best thing, actually.
That explains the crazy.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we're segueing to it, but I guess let's go to pro wrestling because most people know you from that, and we'll go back into parent talk and land talk later. But what is your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
Oh, it's been my one constant. I tell this story a lot. It's just crazy. I'm either the smartest man on the planet or I'm the stupidest man on the planet, and the verdict's still out. There's never been a time I didn't want to be a pro wrestler. So wow. I'm either super smart because I found out what I wanted to do early on and just said, that's it. Figured it out. Next step, you gotta learn how to do it. Or I'm the stupidest man in the planet because I found one thing that I liked and I was just not smart enough to figure anything else out that I could do. But
I mean, yeah. Ron Swanson does say, whole ass one thing, don't half ass two things. So
exactly.
I think you nailed it.
Exactly. My backstory's kind of crazy. I've been out on my own since I was 14. Just in and out of different homes and all that stuff. So like wrestling's the only thing that's kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. Like when I was younger, when I was easily impressionable and could have easily gone, down the wrong path. I had in the back of my mind, like, well, I'm going to be a wrestler, so I probably shouldn't do this, or I'm going to be a wrestler, so I probably shouldn't do that. And, wrestling's it's been my one constant. It's to this day, it's still kind of, it's what I lean on. I'm very, very fortunate that I've had pro wrestling in my life for those reasons, because like I had a younger brother that didn't have that, tunnel vision, and he did not go down the same path I did, unfortunately.
Now, who were you watching when you were a kid, and like who got you into pro wrestling?
Well, I was an '80s baby in California. Hulk Hogan was. I always say Hulk Hogan's the guy that made me like, oh my God, what is this? Right? Like he's just like he was He-Man, but for real life. But Randy Savage is the one that kept me.
That makes sense.
What a dynamic performer, like Savage in one promo would laugh, cry, yell, whisper. I mean, like it was just a 60-second roller coaster of insanity. And on top of that, he always had different gear. He had the cool robes, the big glasses. I mean, he was just, that was my Jude. I remember very, very vividly, dropping elbows off the couch. I wasn't interested in doing leg drops, but I'll drop the crap out of an elbow. Hogan's the guy that brought me in, but Savage is the guy that hooked me. So it's all his fault.
I get it. I've dropped the elbow from for us, the top rope would have been the couch arm, but,
absolutely, of course.
that didn't feel good on a living room floor. I don't think it felt probably even better in a ring doing it every night.
No, I have a buddy that, when I moved out to Georgia in '98, long story short, at the time I was 15, and like any logical 15-year-old kid, I said, well, WCW's power plant is in Georgia. I probably just need to move to Georgia and win the Cruiserweight title from Rey Mysterio. So, 15 years old, I had a buddy that rented a U-Haul for me, and kids, do as I say, not as I did, please. At 15 years old, before I had a license, I drove a U-Haul cross country and moved to Georgia so I can, try to figure out how to get into WCW. It's been, it's just. When I moved here in '98, that was the point of the story. When I moved here in '98, I was a junior in high school. And I met a guy that I'm still friends with to this day, one of my dearest friends. We met in gym class, and, I told him, yeah, I'm going to be a wrestler, blah, 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 blah. Well, fast forward to 2010, where I'd already been wrestling and all that stuff, and finally he had the nerve to get into a ring. It was the first time he'd ever been in a ring, and he goes, well, I want to feel it. But okay, go ahead. I kind of walked him through how to take a bump, and he took one bump, and I've never seen a man's eyes grow. I mean, it looked like Jim Carrey the mask. And he just looked at me with sadness and anger and confusion, and he got up and he goes, why do you do this? It's stupid. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you might be onto something.
I mean, but it's obvious. I mean, obviously, it's far more than that. Like, so what was it? Okay, so Randy Savage is the one that kept you. Who is it that kind of helped? You saw them on TV and you're like, okay, I've got to do this. I know I can do this.
I'm glad I can actually pinpoint the moment where it went from I'm going to be a pro wrestler to, oh, there's just no choice, right? Like I very vividly remember that moment. So, like I said, as a kid, it was, what are you going to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a pro wrestler. Oh, you're probably not. You might want to get a backup plan. Right? Oh, yeah, my backup plan is pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fortunate enough to go to WrestleMania 12.
Wow.
At Arrowhead Pond, and I mean, keep in mind these seats are not great. When they showed the videos of Edge at WrestleMania 6 and like he's on the floor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not this guy. I was above Shawn Michaels' entrance. Like, I would have been better off.
You saw a better way than most people did. Like, watching it from that angle is even cooler because he's your height, and then all of a sudden he's getting super small. Yeah.
Yes. But I was a Shawn Michaels guy, right? I mean, there was something about, even when I was younger, the cocky heel that had different gear. I mean, that's Savage, Perfect, Rick Rude, Rick Martel, Shawn Michaels, all these, they're not the biggest guys, but they had something, their gear was flashy and they were quick, and so Shawn was my guy, and I mean, this is the penultimate Shawn Michaels moment, right? When he's on his knees with the title at the end of the Iron Man match, I remember very vividly just sitting there going, oh yeah, that's it. Like that is all I ever will need. Like I don't need anything else in life. I'm going to be a pro wrestler.